The stone was a kind of magical discovery.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the 50 archaeological finds that provided modern humanity with the best glimpses into our collective past. For this list, we're focusing on discovered treasures as opposed to permanent fixtures like Machu Picchu or the pyramids of Giza.
The stones of Machu Picchu were cut so precisely that they snugly fit together.
Number 50. Akrotiri. Beneath the volcanic cliffs of Santorini, an ancient city slept for 3,500 years. In 1967, archaeologists uncovered Akrotiri, a prehistoric town frozen in time.
The apocalyptic eruption of Santorini around 1615 BC covered the town of Akrotiri with meters of volcanic debris.
Like Pompeii, it was preserved by volcanic ash, but it's even older. Inside, researchers discovered shockingly advanced technology. There were multi-story homes, paved streets, frescoes still bright with color, and an advanced drainage system.
The public sewage system was unique in Akrotiri due to the fact that internal plumbing from buildings within Akrotiri were connected to the sewage system.
Streets and squares stretched across the site, showing a city that once thrived on trade and artistry. Akrotiri opened a window into the Bronze Age Aegean, revealing how sophisticated early civilizations could be. Many believed it inspired the legend of Atlantis, since its people vanished before the eruption. Their fate remains one of history's great mysteries.
It's a privilege to be here, but it's also quite heartbreaking.
Number 49. The Mummification Workshop of Saqqara. In 2023, archaeologists made a chilling discovery beneath the sands of Saqqara, Egypt. They uncovered a 2,300-year-old mummification workshop. There, ancient embalmers prepared the dead for eternity.
This workshop is the one used for humans, including the beds on which the bodies were washed.
Inside, they found stone beds for the bodies, alongside measuring cups, oils, and resins. All of the tools of the macabre trade were frozen in time. The workshop seems to have been built around 2 tombs, each predating the main dig by hundreds of years. The find pulled back the curtain on how Egyptians treated death. While we are all somewhat familiar with mummification thanks to Hollywood, this find is unique. Researchers now have a window into the practice, helping us to understand the ancient Egyptians more than ever.
Death rituals in the ancient Egyptian civilization were shrouded in mystery. These discoveries could shed more light on the burial rites.
Number 47. The Pet Cemetery of Berenice. Stephen King, eat your heart out. In 2011, archaeologists uncovered a forgotten cemetery in the ancient port city of Berenike, Egypt. What made this discovery remarkable is that it wasn't for humans, but for pets.
Animals were just born as God's creatures and could automatically speak the secret language that gods could understand.
Archaeologists uncovered hundreds of carefully buried cats, dogs, and monkeys. Many were lovingly wrapped in blankets or nestled in baskets. Some animals were buried in their ancient collars, lovingly laid to rest by their human companions. The site is nearly 2,000 years old, dating back to the 1st and 2nd century CE. That makes it the earliest known pet cemetery on Earth. It confirms that humans' love for their furry family is as old as modern civilization.
So it was from about 700 BC to nearly 400 AD that you have an intensely active animal cult system in ancient Egypt.
Number 47. Skara Brae. In 1850, a violent storm hit the Orkney Islands of Scotland. When the winds died down, something extraordinary was left behind.
These are absolutely amazing.
Hidden beneath the sand dunes was Skara Brae, a 5,000-year-old Stone Age village, older than the pyramids of Egypt. Archaeologists uncovered stone houses, beds, shelves, and hearths, all remarkably preserved.
Here the inhabitants would gather about the fire during Orkney's long, dark winters.
Even stone-lined toilets and drainage systems were intact. Skara Brae became one of the best-preserved Neolithic settlements in Europe. It offered historians and scientists a rare glimpse into daily Neolithic life. Even 5,000 years ago, our ancestors knew the importance of hearth and home. Number 46. The Sacrifices of Huanchaquito. In 2011, archaeologists made a haunting discovery near Chanchan, Peru. They uncovered the remains of 140 children and 200 llamas, buried together in shallow graves. The site dates back to around 1450 CE, during the height of the Chimu civilization. This is the largest known child and animal sacrifice site in history.
The sacrifice must have been a societal response by the Chimu to counteract negative effects of nature, of climate, that affected its political, economic, and maybe its ideology system.
It represents a ritual unprecedented in documented scale. Researchers believe the Chimu people performed the ceremony during catastrophic flooding. They think it was meant to calm the weather and save their kingdom from collapse. When nature turned violent, so did ancient belief. Number 45. The Lost Golden City of Aten. Egypt is famous for its well-documented pyramids, tombs, and temples, but in 2021, archaeologists uncovered something rarer, an entire lost city.
I call it golden because it was found in the golden age of Egypt.
Beneath the sands of Luxor, they found Aten, a 3,400-year-old metropolis from the reign of Amenhotep III. Walls rose from the ground. Houses, kitchens, and workshops were discovered, still stocked with tools, pottery, and jewelry. It was as if the occupants had all instantly vanished right before the city was lost to the sands.
We've always believed that ancient Egyptian culture was one of death and resurrection, but now we know these details about the lives of the ancient Egyptian.
Scholars call it the biggest Egyptian find since King Tut's tomb. Aten is a direct glimpse into the daily life of ancient Egypt's golden age. We now have a better understanding of ancient Egyptians, from palace workers to artisans and cooks. Number 44. Europe's oldest map. Sometimes archaeology rewrites history, not with a new find, but with a new look at an old one. In 2021, researchers realized a carved stone slab from France wasn't just art. It was a map, the oldest known map of Europe. The slab, called the Saint-Belec slab, dates back to the Bronze Age between 2150 and 1600 BCE.
At the time of the discovery, the broken slab was moved to a private museum, and France's Museum of National Antiquities acquired it in 1924.
Etched into the rock are mountains, rivers, and fields, representing a tiny kingdom in western France. It's the first known terrestrial map in Europe, showing how early rulers organized, controlled, and visualized their land.
According to the authors, the findings suggest that we shouldn't underestimate the cartographical knowledge of past societies.
Number 43. Dragon Man. In 1933, a laborer in Harbin, China found a giant human skull while working on a bridge project. But China was under Japanese occupation, and he feared the discovery would be seized or destroyed. So he hid the skull in a well. It remained there for nearly 90 years. When scientists finally got their hands on it, they were stunned.
You can see all the details.
Nicknamed Dragon Man, the skull had massive brow ridges, huge eye sockets, and a brain as big as ours. Some believe it's a Denisovan, a mysterious branch of the human family. The discovery is rewriting our understanding of human evolution in Asia.
It really gives us a new view of human evolution, because it looks like, on our analyses, this is a sister species to Homo sapiens, our own species.
Number 42. Harappa's Lost Civilization. History books used to start with Egypt and Mesopotamia. Then Harappa changed the story.
This is a core from the Arabian Sea, and we're looking to understand the chemical composition of this core and to extract from it foraminifera.
In 1921, archaeologists digging in Pakistan uncovered one of the world's oldest and most advanced cities. Harappa belonged to the Indus Valley civilization, a Bronze Age culture that rivaled its famous neighbors. It had planned streets, drainage systems, and massive public buildings. It was proof that a sophisticated urban society had reigned long ago in the Indus Valley. The discoveries didn't end with a single lost city. Archaeologists unearthed evidence of an entire forgotten civilization, stretching across Pakistan and northwest India. It changed our understanding of ancient civilizations forever. Number 41. The Lost Leaders of Jamestown. For centuries, the founding leaders of Jamestown were missing from history, both figuratively and literally. That all changed with a shocking find in 2013. Archaeologists uncovered the graves of 4 elite colonists, buried inside the remains of Jamestown's original church.
They were involved in the setting up of the Church of England, the establishment of laws, and the fighting that took place with Indian peoples along the James River Valley.
Thanks to forensic science, dental records, historical clues, and limited DNA testing, researchers identified them. The group included Captain Gabriel Archer, who may have secretly remained Catholic, and Reverend Robert Hunt, Jamestown's first Anglican minister. These men helped shape the first permanent English colony in America. Little was known about their ultimate fates. Their discovery brought the faces and stories of early colonial leadership back from the grave.
It's records that are only barely told, and yet these people are so critical in terms of the history of the foundation of this country.
Number 40. The Herculaneum Papyri. Some ancient libraries were ultimately burned to ash. This one turned to stone, or more properly, carbon. In 1752, explorers near Naples uncovered the Villa of the Papyri, buried by Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE. Like the citizens of Pompeii, the collection was carbonized by volcanic ash. Inside were over 1,800 papyrus scrolls, intact but blackened and hardened by heat.
The paradox is that catastrophic destruction is also exceptionally good preservation.
Today, researchers are using X-ray and AI technology to read the scrolls without unrolling them. Many scrolls contain the works of Epicurean philosophers, including texts lost for centuries. The villa could still hold thousands more texts, waiting patiently under layers of volcanic ash.
In the past, we were able to only imagine what was written in these scrolls. Now is a new world for us.
Number 39, Kabwe 1 skull. Some discoveries happen out in the field through painstaking, deliberate research. This one happened by accident with a pickaxe in a mine shaft. A century ago, a miner in Kabwe, Zambia struck something strange in the limestone. He found a nearly complete human skull fossilized in place. Scientists called it Kabwe 1, also known as the Broken Hill skull. It belonged to Homo heidelbergensis, an early human species that lived between 300,000 and 125,000 years ago.
The lower jaw is unfortunately missing, but it must have been massive and had a nice set of choppers.
The skull had a mix of features: a massive brow ridge and large brain case, halfway between ancient hominins and modern humans. It was one of the first ancient human fossils ever found in Africa. It changed everything scientists thought they knew about human evolution. Number 38, the Blombos Cave. It is every archaeologist's greatest dream to stumble across a find that rewrites human history. Researchers in South Africa did just that thanks to the dig in Blombos Cave, South Africa.
We're in Blombos Cave, where the evolution of the mind made a great leap.
They found engraved ochre, shell beads, and tools dating back as far as 100,000 years. The site contained marvels. The artifact showed early humans making art, jewelry, and tools. Given the age of the cave, the meaning was clear. Humanity's creative endeavors began tens of thousands of years earlier than previously thought. Blombos Cave is considered proof that modern human behavior, creativity, symbolism, culture didn't begin in Europe. It started in Africa.
A great power was discovered here in Blombos Cave.
Number 37, the oldest war monument. If the Fallout games have taught us anything, it's this: war never changes.
War never changes.
Excavations in northern Syria proved it in 1988. Most ancient monuments honor kings or gods. This one honored fallen soldiers. At Tel Benet, researchers uncovered a massive stepped white monument built around 2450 BCE. Inside, they found carefully arranged human remains mixed with animal bones and weapons. For years, scholars were not sure what it meant. But in 2021, researchers reanalyzed the evidence and realized it was likely the world's oldest war memorial. It wasn't a mass grave exactly, it was a public monument to the dead, a collective tribute to lives lost in battle. Number 36, the earliest story. Once, we thought storytelling started with writing. We were wrong. It began much earlier, painted on the walls of caves.
You can see here the head of the pig, the tail, and the legs.
More interestingly, the earliest ever human story wasn't found in Europe or Africa. It was found in the South Pacific. In 1973, archaeologists began exploring the Maros Pangip caves in Sulawesi, Indonesia. Decades later, in 2024, researchers found something that changed everything: a cave painting more than 45,000 years old. It is the oldest known narrative art.
They use a mineral pigment, a rock, essentially ochre, which they would pulverize. It's an ironstone hematite. They would pulverize the rock, produce a powder, which they would then mix with water and other substances, other liquids, in order to produce this quite vivid, bright red paint.
It shows human-like figures interacting with a wild pig, telling a story through images. It predates similar European sites by 20,000 years. Number 35, tombs of the pyramid builders. For centuries, it's been common knowledge that the pyramids of Giza were built by slaves. That common knowledge may have been entirely wrong.
We are able now for the first time to understand the life of the workmen who built the pyramid.
A dig in 1990 revealed a shocking twist to the familiar narrative: the tombs of the workers themselves. These were not slave graves. They were honorary burials, complete with food offerings and supplies for the afterlife. The workers were likely skilled laborers, respected for their role in building the pyramids.
We can see titles of people, like the overseer of the craftsman.
They lived in nearby workers' villages, rotated shifts, and ate meat-rich diets, rare for common Egyptians. The discovery shattered myths and revealed the real workforce behind Egypt's most iconic monuments. Number 34. Petra. For centuries, the city of Petra was little more than a legend to anyone outside of Jordanian Bedouins.
It's one of the most beautiful, unusual, and iconic cities in the world.
It was a marvel only whispered about, lost to the outside world. Then, in 1812, Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt disguised himself as a Bedouin and stumbled upon its hidden entrance. What he found was breathtaking. A city carved into rose-red cliffs, with temples, tombs, and an enormous amphitheater all sculpted from solid rock. Petra was once the capital of the Nabatean kingdom, a wealthy hub for spice and silk trade routes.
By the time of Christ, Petra was the beating heart of a thriving Nabatean empire.
Today, it's one of the most iconic archaeological sites on Earth, and one of the most popular tourist attractions in the region.
2,000 years ago, the desert bloomed green through the genius of the Nabateans.
Number 33. The Voynich manuscript. Wilfrid Voynich was a Polish artifact hunter and rare book dealer at the turn of the 20th century. In 1912, he stumbled upon a book like no other. Once belonging to a 17th century Czech alchemist, the Voynich manuscript is an utter mystery. Carbon dated to the early 1400s, its pages are filled with bizarre illustrations. The images include strange plants, astrological charts, even women bathing in odd green liquids. What truly makes the book a mystery, though, is the indecipherable text written in an unknown language.
Cryptologists say the writing has all the characteristics of a real language, just one that no one's ever seen before.
Despite over a century of research, no one has cracked the code. Some think it's a ciphered medical guide. Others call it an elaborate hoax. The Voynich manuscript remains one of the greatest unsolved puzzles in archaeology and cryptology.
What do you think it is?
Number 32. Hurrian hymn number 6. Cuneiform is the earliest known writing system, a wedge-shaped script pressed into clay over 5,000 years ago.
So this tablet was written by a very high-quality literary scribe.
Most discovered cuneiform tablets, while significant, are not particularly artistic. They tend to be records of laws, trade, or taxes. But in the 1950s, archaeologists in Ugarit, Syria uncovered something different: cuneiform music. Etched onto clay was Hurrian hymn number 6, the oldest known piece of written music on Earth. It dates back to around 1400 BCE and was dedicated to Nikal, goddess of orchards. The tablet contains lyrics and musical notation for a lyre. It was an ancient melody transported more than 3,000 years through the sands of time. Number 31. The Atlantis of the Sands. For centuries, legends spoke of a lost Arabian city swallowed by the desert. Western explorers gave it the name the Atlantis of the Sands. Some thought it was pure myth.
Uber is the Arabian equivalent of Atlantis, except that instead of sinking in the bottom of the sea, legend says that the old city disappeared into the desert sands.
Then, in 1992, satellite imaging and excavations in southern Oman uncovered the ruins of Ubar, a once thriving trade hub that dealt in frankincense, gold, and spices. The settlement likely collapsed into a massive sinkhole, sealing its fate beneath the desert.
Ubar was built around 5,000 years ago, 3000 BC. And there are many similarities of the ruins in Shazr and ancient documents that describe the legendary Ubar.
The discovery was a landmark moment in archaeology, one of the first times satellite technology directly led to the uncovering of a lost city. The legends, as it turns out, were real all along. Number 30. Suontaka Grave. In 1968, a construction crew from Suontaka Vesitorninmäki in Finland was working on water pipes when they stumbled upon an archaeological marvel. They found a warrior's grave dating back almost 1,000 years. There were numerous artifacts buried with the warrior, including a sword and women's jewelry. The body was laid on a blanket of feathers, wearing women's clothes. For decades, it was assumed that it was the grave of a warrior woman. Recent DNA tests have revealed something much more nuanced. The Suontaka warrior had Klinefelter syndrome, meaning they had both an extra X chromosome and a Y chromosome. This warrior was likely non-binary and was clearly an honored member of their community. Number 29. The Staffordshire Hoard.
Nothing like this has ever been found before.
Metal detector enthusiasts around the world received a glowing endorsement for their hobby in 2009. Terry Herbert was exploring a field in Staffordshire, England, when he stumbled upon the largest hoard of Anglo-Saxon gold and silver metalwork ever found.
Why me? Why have I found it? Why has other people been on this field, detected, and never found it?
Over 3,500 items were discovered, primarily military artifacts such as sword fittings, helmet fragments, and jewelry. This one discovery brought historians more than 60% of Anglo-Saxon artifacts currently in existence today. Its discovery completely reshaped our current understanding of Anglo-Saxon culture, both in terms of early Christianity and Anglo-Saxon armies. The sheer quantity of items, primarily martial in nature, suggested a previously underestimated level of wealth and status among the Anglo-Saxon elite.
People have said, is this the biggest Anglo-Saxon gold hoard ever found? No, it's the only Anglo-Saxon gold hoard ever found.
Number 28. The Gold Mask at Sanxingdui.
Archaeologists have uncovered a collection of ancient relics in southwest China, including a 3,000-year-old gold mask.
The gold mask of Sanxingdui was discovered in 2021 during the excavation of 2 sacrificial pits in Sichuan, China. This incredible artifact, dating back to around 1200 BCE, is estimated to be over 80% pure gold. It was likely used either as a facial covering during ritual sacrifice or as a burial mask. Scientifically, the mask provides insights into the advanced metallurgical techniques and cultural practices of the ancient Shuhan kingdom. Historically, it underscores the complexity and diversity of early Chinese civilizations, challenging established narratives and expanding our understanding of ancient cultural development in the region.
Experts believe the recent items may shine further light on the ancient Shu state, a former kingdom conquered in 316 BC.
Number 27. The Benin Bronzes.
In the last years of the 19th century, thousands of people came to London to see an intriguing new exhibit.
The Benin Bronzes weren't so much discovered as they were plundered. During an 1897 punitive expedition to the Kingdom of Benin, the British Army stole over 5,000 figurines, tablets, carved tusks, and ancient sculptures. Some artifacts date as far back as the 13th century. They represent centuries' worth of the cultural, religious, and history of modern-day Nigeria.
The very existence of these works of art represented a challenge to the dominant ideas of the time. Ideas that underpinned an empire.
The bronzes spent a century shuffling around European collections. The metallurgical techniques were impressive, and as records of Benin's sophisticated civilization, the bronzes are priceless. Ongoing efforts persist to return these culturally significant artifacts to Nigeria from British and other Western institutions. Today, the Benin bronzes are the face of a broader movement to address historical injustices and restore cultural heritage to former colonies.
There's a widespread recognition in the museum sector and beyond that these artifacts should be returned to Benin City.
Number 26. The Neolithic city of Shimao. The city of Shimao was initially discovered in 1976 in Shanxi, China. At first, it was mistaken for a small settlement, potentially even a segment of the Great Wall. 35 years later, excavations revealed the ruins of a vast and ancient city dating back to around 2300 to 1800 BCE.
So when we came to this part of the palace, we found a lot of mural paintings. But because the wall collapsed, a lot of the mural paintings were falling on the ground.
Covering 4 square kilometers, or roughly 1.5 square miles, Shimao has a shockingly complex layout for the period, as well as impressive stone wall fortifications.
This is maybe one of the earliest such city layout that we have discovered in China.
Thousands of artifacts have been discovered in the ruins, as has a 230-foot-high pyramid, the former home of Shimao's ruling caste. Shimao's discovery has revolutionized our understanding of the development of early Chinese civilization. Its advanced architecture, evident social complexity, and artistic achievements provide crucial insights into the urbanization of subsequent civilizations in the region. Number 25. Homo naledi in Rising Star Cave.
This was a paleoanthropological equivalent of winning the lottery.
A team of scientists led by famed paleoanthropologist Lee Berger entered Rising Star Cave in South Africa in 2013. When they exited, they brought a major find with them, out into the light of day for the first time in hundreds of thousands of years. In a remote chamber, scientists found a horde of hominin fossils that challenged their understanding of human evolution. The fossils, dating to about 335 to 236,000 years ago, were of a previously unknown species with a mix of primitive and modern traits. Deemed Homo naledi, this new species indicated the coexistence of multiple hominin species. The find has profound implications for the study of human ancestry. This distant cousin of modern humans also lived alongside our ancient ancestors.
All of those are going to have profound impact, not just on our study of Homo naledi, but on our view of ourselves in nature.
Number 24, Derinkuyu. The discovery of the world's largest underground city, Derinkuyu, happened by complete accident. In 1963, a Turkish citizen in Anatolia discovered a hidden room behind his basement wall after his chickens kept vanishing.
This triggered an excavation of the area to reveal the hidden city that is 1,000 years old.
Subsequent explorations revealed an extensive multi-level complex, extending over 85 meters or 280 feet deep, capable of housing thousands of people. Dating back to at least the 8th century BCE, Derinkuyu features ventilation shafts, storage rooms, chapels, and living quarters. The complex's main purpose appears to have been a shelter for citizens during raids. Its discovery shed light on ancient engineering and urban planning. Its ancient citizens clearly developed sophisticated emergency management plans for surviving disasters.
The Cappadocia region is known for subterranean safe havens, and it's speculated that Derinkuyu may have connected many of them.
Derinkuyu offered invaluable insights into the daily life, culture, and defensive strategies of early Turkish civilizations. Number 23, Aztec Calendar Stone. The Piedra del Sol, or Aztec Sunstone, was discovered in 1790 during repairs on the Mexico City Cathedral. This massive monolithic sculpture, dating to the late 15th century, acted both as a calendar and a cosmological map. Both served as central pillars of Aztec culture. Its intricate carving stone depicts the sun god Tonatiuh, surrounded by symbols representing cosmic cycles and deities. The sunstone's discovery provided crucial insights into Aztec astronomy, religious beliefs, and timekeeping. It's become an iconic representation of Mesoamerican civilization. It is the epitome of the Aztecs' advanced knowledge and the centrality of the sun in their religious practices. Number 22, Neanderthal genome in Vindia Cave. The Neanderthal genome was essentially discovered thanks to the discovery of 38,000-year-old remains found in Vindia, Croatia. Analysis of the bones began in 1997 when scientists first extracted DNA. It marked the first successful recovery of Neanderthal genetic material ever. As technology advanced, so did our understanding of genetics. By 2010, the entire genome of Neanderthal DNA was sequenced. This groundbreaking work revealed that Neanderthals interbred with early modern humans, contributing 1 to 4% of non-African human DNA today. The discovery significantly advanced our understanding of human evolution.
Over the past about 10 years or so, there's been a revolution in our ability to read DNA from ancient fossils. And this has revealed some amazing things about recent human evolutionary history.
The sequencing shed light on our shared ancestry, genetic diversity, and the adaptive traits humans have inherited from Neanderthals. Those traits still influence modern human biology and health today.
And it's a diverse array of traits. So traits involved in the immune system, traits involved in our skin, but also traits, psychiatric traits.
Number 21, the Easter Island Moai. The Moai are a collection of over 1,000 massive stone statues located on Easter Island far off the coast of Chile. They were first recorded by European explorers in 1722 when Dutch navigator Jacob Roggeveen arrived. Subsequent visits by explorers, including English Captain James Cook, sparked international interest. The statues were carved and placed by the Rapa Nui people between 1400 and 1650.
The enormous heads that dot the landscape are the lasting legacy of this ancient society.
They are believed to be physical representations of their ancestors, holding spiritual significance. They are an engineering wonder, averaging 14 tons apiece.
The effort to construct these monuments and move them around the island must have been considerable. But no one knows exactly why the Rapa Nui people undertook such a task.
Their discovery highlighted the complexities of isolated human societies and the impacts of environmental challenges on human civilization. Preserving the statues has become an international project as Easter Island is under grave threat from climate change. Number 20. Göbekli Tepe. While this site was first noted in 1963, its importance wasn't recognized until decades later. In the mid-90s, German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt realized that the stone slabs in the area were the tops of prehistoric megaliths and began excavating.
During the intensive dig, Schmidt and his team begin to unearth dozens of additional giant stone monoliths covered in intricate carvings, some weighing as much as 20 tons.
What he unearthed was a site of massive circular structures on stone pillars dating all the way back to the Neolithic period. The megaliths at Göbekli Tepe are the world's oldest, erected as early as 9500 BCE. No one really knows what the site was used for, but the carved reliefs provide glimpses into prehistoric religious practices.
Göbekli is a beautiful story. It was the first temple in the world, the birthplace of religion. It carries with it a certain mysticism that sparks the question, why?
What we do know is that Göbekli Tepe is one of the world's oldest human settlements, marking the transition from nomadic lifestyles to permanent habitation. Number 19. The oldest footprints in North America. In 2018, human footprints were found in British Columbia, Canada that dated back about 13,000 years. At the time, these were the oldest footprints discovered in North America. But just a few years later in 2021, that record was shattered.
The footprints show how humans coexisted with large, wild animals. Many are of children and reveal a story about everyday life and play.
Archaeologists working in New Mexico's White Sands National Park unearthed tracks that are between 21,000 and 23,000 years old. Not only does this almost double the record for oldest footprint in North America, it also completely restructures our understanding of early North American settlement.
The new footprint suggests humans came before the ice-blocked migration and came to the southwestern U.S. up to 23,000 years ago.
Prior to this game-changing discovery, most experts dated the continent's earliest habitation to between 11,000 and 13,000 years ago. Number 18. Richard III's grave. This controversial figure ruled as King of England and Lord of Ireland until 1485, when he died in the Battle of Bosworth Field. With his death, the Wars of the Roses came to an end, and with it, the Middle Ages in England. His reign was later immortalized in Shakespeare's eponymous play.
As Shakespeare put it, "My kingdom for a horse." But Richard had lost his steed in battle, and he fell dead on the ground. The last British king to die on the field of battle.
Following Richard III's death, his corpse was quickly buried and lost to time. Until 2012. That year, researchers discovered the foundations of a medieval church underneath a modern parking lot, and it was there that they found the skeleton of Richard III.
But this is where he was discovered. His well-preserved skeleton was buried without a coffin or a shroud. A combination of markings on the bones and genetic analysis proved what the experts had hoped for.
After more than 5 centuries, we had finally found one of England's most notorious rulers. Number 17. Madaba Map. In the late 19th century, construction began on a new Greek Orthodox church in Jordan's capital city of Madaba. While building the new structure, workers unearthed an ancient mosaic on the floor of the existing church.
Right at the center of it is this piece of showing Jerusalem. When we look at Jerusalem, you can see the walls going around.
This mosaic is now known as the Madaba Map, and it shows parts of the Middle East. Dating to the 6th century, the map contains the oldest known depiction of both Jerusalem and the Holy Land. Not only that, but it was used extensively to locate sites mentioned in the Bible, and it is currently the oldest geographic floor mosaic in the world.
But also, if you look, you'll see other cities. We have Jericho here, we have Ascalon and Gaza represented here as well. Right at the top, you'll see the Dead Sea.
Number 16. The Serapeum of Alexandria. Serving as the greatest library of its age, the Library of Alexandria attracted scholars to Egypt and served as the ancient world's symbol of knowledge.
In its prime, the Library of Alexandria housed an unprecedented number of scrolls
and attracted some of the Greek world's greatest minds.
It proved so popular that a so-called daughter library was later created called the Serapeum of Alexandria. The Serapeum lasted a bit longer than its famous father, and it was finally destroyed in the year 391. The site later became a Muslim cemetery. In the mid-1940s, the foundations of the Serapeum were discovered, and with it, one of the greatest centers of learning in human history was unearthed. Number 15. Knossos. Found on the Greek island of Crete, Knossos is often regarded as the oldest city in Europe. And that's saying something. Featuring a massive and world-renowned palace complex, Knossos was the primary capital of the ancient Minoan civilization, which inhabited both Crete and other Aegean islands.
However, very few know that around the palace there was a very extensive settlement, the largest urban center in Crete and mainland Greece.
The civilization prospered from about 3500 BCE to 1100 BCE, but it's believed that Knossos had been inhabited since the Neolithic period. An amateur archaeologist named Minos Kalokirinos discovered the location of Knossos in 1878, and the ancient site was unearthed by Sir Arthur Evans throughout much of the early 1900s.
Sir Arthur Evans began the first systematic investigation of the archaeological site and brought to light the so-called Palace of King Minos, the centre of a hitherto unknown civilization.
Number 14. Ötzi. Just imagine mountaineering through the Alps when you stumble across an ancient human corpse embedded in a glacier. This is exactly what happened to German tourists Helmut and Erika Zeman in September of 1991.
Hikers Erika and Helmut Simon decided to take a shortcut down from the peak. As they passed a rocky gully, they made a grisly discovery.
They found what is now known as Ötzi the Iceman, a natural mummy dating to about 3230 BCE. Ötzi is the oldest natural mummy in European history, having died about 5,000 years before he was found preserved in ice. Regardless, the body is in remarkable condition, considering its age, and it's provided researchers an incredible glimpse into Copper Age Europeans and their lifestyles.
For sure, we want to know about how he died and why he died, and because it's also such a spectacular finding, this mummy, such an old mummy. It's the only one we have here in this region.
Number 13. Mohenjo-daro. A large human settlement dating to 2500 BCE. Mohenjo-daro is one of the oldest cities in the world. Located in modern-day Pakistan, Mohenjo-daro was one of the most ambitious cities of its day, complete with street grids, a sewage system, and many other ingenious feats of engineering.
The city of Mohenjo-daro rivaled the ancient civilizations in Egypt and Mesopotamia. Archaeologists believe that over 35,000 people once occupied the city.
It was a remarkable settlement that showcased the creativity and boundless imagination of humanity. Unfortunately, Mohenjo-daro was completely abandoned around 1900 BCE, as the local Indus civilization went into a decline. It remained lost to time until the 1920s, when an officer of the Archaeological Survey of India located the ancient city. 60 years after its discovery, Mohenjo-daro was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
So far, only 10% of the city has been unearthed. The authorities have stopped digging because they don't have the resources to preserve what has so far been discovered.
Number 12. The Antikythera mechanism.
If it hadn't been discovered when it was in 1901, no one would possibly believe that it could exist because it's so sophisticated.
This mysterious object was found submerged in Grecian waters at the turn of the 20th century, located inside an ancient shipwreck. The strange device was already 2,000 years old when it was found, and despite being eroded by the sea for all that time, it was still eventually identified as the world's oldest computer. Finally, another century after its discovery, and we now know definitively what it did. It was a device used to chart the positions of celestial bodies so that the ancient Greeks knew when eclipses would happen.
Some have argued that it's so complex the Greeks couldn't have made it at all. There are even some who say it must have been created by aliens.
It took a 3D reconstruction of the entire device in 2021 to get a better understanding of how it worked, though its purpose was suspected for decades. Number 11. Troy. For centuries, historians debated not only whether the Trojan War actually happened, but also whether the lost city of Troy ever existed at all.
It's a story that's been told and retold by poets and actors for thousands of years. But is it real? Did the city of Troy actually exist?
The Trojan War is the focus of one of ancient Greece's most famous epic poems, Homer's Iliad, and legendary Greek heroes like Achilles and Odysseus fought in it. But Troy's location became lost knowledge. Throughout the 1800s, many researchers argued that Hisarlik, a site in western Turkey, was probably the elusive city.
Throughout the 20th century, scholars have become aware that we can't even be sure that Troy is indeed this Troy.
Finally, after decades of debate, experts came to a consensus that yes, Hisarlik is in all likelihood Troy. Unfortunately, we've yet to find conclusive evidence that the Trojan horse existed. But Troy's identification was hugely important for historians.
The ideas that the Greeks would have in fact built a large wooden horse, hidden inside it and had it dragged inside of Troy is certainly possible, but it kind of strains your credulity a little bit that someone really could have pulled that off.
Number 10. Tutankhamun's tomb.
Tutankhamun's burial chamber is filled with magical decoration. But beside it, the rest of the tomb is left bare. This simple tomb is unlike any other royal tomb in the valley.
The Valley of the Kings is the final resting place of many ancient Egyptian pharaohs, but throughout its history, a number of tombs have fallen victim to grave robbers.
This is the Egyptian red list of the missing pieces. We are already missing from museums and sites and everywhere in Egypt, and we give it to Interpol to stop any piece of them if they're moving from a country to a country.
Tutankhamun's tomb was different. Remarkably, though grave robbers did break in shortly after it was initially sealed up, most of its contents were intact when archaeologists found it in 1922.
Over 5,000 priceless artifacts, including golden statues. In the burial chamber, the pharaoh's mummy, wearing a golden death mask, was placed inside a coffin made of more than 200 pounds of solid gold.
Today, Tutankhamun's gilded mask makes him arguably the most famous and recognizable pharaoh in history. Considering Tutankhamun only reigned for about 10 years and died between the young ages of 18 and 19, that is quite the legacy.
This modest tomb was jammed full of all the royal possessions that were usually buried with a king.
It can't have been meant to be all jumbled up like that. People are just trying to cram as much stuff as possible.
Along with the mask, the tomb also contained a statue of Anubis, the god of the dead, and a dagger made from a fallen meteor. Number 9. Sutton Hoo. One of the most remarkable medieval graves anywhere in Europe was excavated in England in 1939.
Well, I'd say it's the biggest archaeological discovery ever made in this country. So it is an immense responsibility to look after the site, but also really what we're trying to do at Sutton Hoo is tell more people about it.
The owner of an estate in Suffolk, Edith Pretty, enlisted some archaeologists to find out what was underneath the burial mounds on her property. What they uncovered was astounding. So much so that the story inspired a 2021 film, The Dig.
That's a ship.
How do you mean a ship?
Well, that's a ship that's been buried in the mound.
Why would anyone want to bury a ship?
Well, I expect because that's a grave.
The most promising mound contained an entire long ship and innumerable artifacts, including pieces of armor made of gold and other Anglo-Saxon relics. Though it's one of the UK's most impressive archaeological discoveries, it's still not entirely clear whose grave it actually is.
Shortly after the inquest, which ruled that all the items found in the Sutton Hoo burial mound lawfully belonged to Edith Pretty, Pretty donated the entire collection to the British Museum. It's among the most valuable donations of its kind, and the collection itself remains at the heart of the museum.
Most evidence suggests it was the final resting place of a famous East Anglian king, Redwald, who ruled the region around 1400 years ago. Number 8. Aldovai Gorge. This isn't one specific archaeological location, but an entire locality housing some of the most important works relating to paleoanthropology, or the study of early humans. Found in the northeast corner of Tanzania, Olduvai Gorge has been invaluable in our understanding of early human culture and evolution.
Telling us is that there's a lot out there to be found, that we actually don't have the whole story of human evolution.
Researchers have unearthed ancient stone tools and hominid fossils. Occupation of the site is believed to stretch back nearly 2 million years, when it was inhabited by an archaic human species called Homo habilis.
And then these other things, which are generally termed Homo habilis after the species that Louis Leakey named at Olduvai in 1960.
Without Olduvai Gorge and its riches of archaeological material, our understanding of archaic humans would be much more limited. Number 7. The Cave of Altamira. If you're interested in early humanity, then you cannot go wrong with the Cave of Altamira.
This is the Museum of Altamira. It was built right next to the cave, where the original cave paintings dating back to the Paleolithic era were discovered. The original cave has been closed to preserve its archaeologically important remains.
Archaeology has uncovered many notable caves relating to ancient humanity, including Lascaux and another in the small Spanish town of Ardales. But nothing beats Altamira. Also located in Spain, this cave houses numerous prehistoric drawings and paintings, most of which depict local animals. After the site was discovered in 1868, the suggestion that the paintings were prehistoric was met with some skepticism, not only owing to the nature of the drawings, but also because no other prehistoric cave art was known to exist in Europe.
We're also interested in whether or not human symbolic behavior coincides, for example, with language, or whether human symbolic behavior in fact dates right back to the point at which we start looking like humans.
But the research eventually prevailed, and it's now believed that the paintings are around 36,000 years old. Number 6. The Terracotta Army. This is one of the most significant archaeological finds of all time, and it was discovered completely by accident.
And they find some pieces of the pottery. They also find the head of the terracotta warriors, and the archaeological team came to this area and they start to dig.
The Terracotta Army was first uncovered in the Shanxi province of western China by a group of farmers in the 1970s. The army resides within a tomb constructed over 2,200 years ago as the resting place of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, which is why it's so elaborate.
He was its first emperor, and his empire became his fortress, protected by a great wall. The legend says he was a tyrant, driven mad by power.
In the parts we've been able to excavate, there are over 8,000 soldiers made out of clay, there to guard Emperor Qin in the afterlife.
Row upon row of warriors, hundreds of secret subterranean soldiers, all life-sized and built to be immortal.
But even more astonishing is the fact that the entire necropolis is believed to be almost 40 square miles in size, with most of the site hidden in vaults that aren't yet accessible. Number 5. The Dead Sea Scrolls. Written mostly in Hebrew, the Dead Sea Scrolls are some of the oldest Abrahamic religious texts in existence.
A young shepherd is herding goats in Qumran near the Dead Sea. Passing a cave, he throws a stone to scare a wayward animal back to the flock, and hears something shatter. Curious, he enters the cavern and discovers 10 clay jars holding 7 ancient scrolls.
They were discovered in a cave in the West Bank in the mid-1940s, but in the decades since, we've continually found more and more scrolls ready to be translated in a handful of additional caves.
The scrolls themselves talk of the battles of the great teacher of righteousness who led the community into the wilderness, with the teacher of lies.
The scrolls are so significant because they've allowed historians and theologians to chart the development of the Bible much more accurately, and provided new information about the dawn of Christianity thousands of years ago, as well as the history of Judaism and the Holy Land.
Now we're becoming much more attuned to how very Jewish Jesus was, very devout Jew, and that's the heart of Christianity.
They are unquantifiably important, and still have a lot to teach us.
There's really no way of predicting what the next discovery is going to be or what it's going to come from. I think it's fairly reasonable to guess there will be something. Surely there will be something.
Number 4. Pompeii. Among the most famous ruins in the world, Pompeii was destroyed by a devastating eruption from Mount Vesuvius in the year 79 AD. The village was left forgotten until the 16th century, over 1,500 years later, because it had been completely buried underneath volcanic ash.
It took just 18 hours for Pompeii to be buried under millions of tons of volcanic ash and pumice. An entire living city wiped out.
But that ash kept Pompeii largely intact when it was finally excavated, with people frozen in place where they died during the disaster.
The point is we have a great opportunity here because we have a snapshot of the society. We might have slaves, we might have upper-class people, and we can find out if there have been big differences.
Today, it's one of Italy's most popular tourist attractions and a tremendous source of Roman history. As tragic as the story is, Pompeii has taught us more about Roman life than many other ancient archaeology sites anywhere in the world.
Pompeii has regained its pride and continues to share its stories with people from all around the world.
Number 3. The Library of Ashurbanipal. Famous writer H.G. Wells once called the Library of Ashurbanipal, quote, the most precious source of historical material in the world. And he wasn't far off. English historian and traveler Austen Henry Layard found the ancient library in the remains of a palace in 1849.
While the actual building had been destroyed, many of the library's old texts were still intact, though most were in fragments.
It consisted of over 30,000 clay tablets, which provided an enormous wealth of information relating to ancient civilizations of the Middle East. The tablets date to the 7th century BCE. Perhaps the greatest find within the Library of Ashurbanipal was the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is widely considered to be the oldest piece of literature in human history.
Inscribed on crumbling clay tablets was a 4,000-year-old story, so riveting, the first person to translate it started stripping from excitement.
Number 2. Lucy. Several famous fossils have revolutionized our view of early hominins. Discovered in 1924 in South Africa, the Tong child, a skull of an Australopithecus africanus, was described as, quote, the missing link between ape and human, although anthropologists initially resisted the idea that humans had evolved in Africa.
Some scientists even went so far as to suggest it was perhaps just a baby gorilla and that the Tong child would bear little out on anything other than the origins of apes themselves.
Eclipsing the Tong child in renown is Lucy, the 3.2 million-year-old remains of an Australopithecus afarensis. Unearthed in 1974 in Ethiopia, she was named after the Beatles song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which the research team was playing on repeat. The completeness of her remains gave us much more information on the evolution of bipedalism and brain size.
We now have 400 specimens of Lucy's species, Australopithecus afarensis, named after the Afar region. And we know that there are very large individuals, which were males, and the smaller ones are certainly females.
In 1994, Ardi, the skeleton of an Ardipithecus ramidus, thought to be 4.4 million years old, was also found in Ethiopia, becoming the most complete early hominid specimen ever discovered.
The pelvis reconstruction has confirmed that Ardipithecus was bipedal, a major step forward in the investigation.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Rosetta Stone. For centuries, archaeologists had absolutely no idea how to decipher ancient Egypt's complex hieroglyphics.
Jean-François Champollion in France and Thomas Young in Britain both believed that the Rosetta Stone, as it was called, held the key to deciphering hieroglyphs. But the Rosetta Stone did not yield its secrets easily.
Without a starting point, they were unable to understand the inscriptions on Egyptian monuments and artifacts. But that all changed with the discovery of the long-lost Rosetta Stone in 1799, an enormous slab of stone inscribed with everything needed to start translating.
This seemingly insignificant rock would forever change our understanding of mankind's past.
The text it contained wasn't actually all that interesting, but the same passage was written 3 times in different languages, and one of those languages was Ancient Greek.
The Greek section told of the tablet having the same information written in all three. While Greek was easily understood, several obstacles stood in the way of using it to translate the two Egyptian scripts.
By using the Greek, which is still widely understood by researchers, we were able to decipher the hieroglyphics and unlock the secrets of ancient Egyptian writing. Did we forget a discovery that deserves to be unearthed? Let us know in the comments below.
The language and mysteries of the ancient Egyptians can now be understood.